Hello, my name is Diana Morales and I am against euthanasia because killing people is wrong. And no one has the right to kill someone just because this person is going to die. It's still a murder. All of us will die. But even doctors never are sure about how long people will live. Sometimes they say 6 months and the patient lives for some years.
Hi, my name is Han, and I agree euthanasia should be used. I'm not altogether sure, but it seems that the doctors don't advise the terminally ill to be euthanized when they are still able to enjoy living normally for months or years. Euthanasia is not killing people. It would help the terminally ill to avoid suffering. When a patient is in intense pain or suffering severe mental anguish, the doctor could be doing more harm by keeping them alive than allowing them to die. It is more about compassion. Euthanasia should be used when the effective treatment wouldn't affect patients' quality of life.
First of all, euthanasia defenders use a false sense of compassion. But the best compassionate care means committed working together with a suffering person and their family, instead of persuading vulnerable people to opt for euthanasia. It can be a symptom of today's throwaway culture that views the sick and elderly as a drain on society. Second, the prohibition against killing patients is the first promise in medicine, in the Hippocratic Oath, and doctors have the responsibility to save lives and relieving or at least try to control the patient's pain and welfare in an ethical way. So, euthanasia is not an option because once you take the decision, you cannot go back. You're right.
Spending weeks, months, or even years using a large portion of the medical funding available, some terminally ill patients could die in peace and painlessly, all while saving money and space for the hospital. Healthcare cost is and will always be a concern for the family irrespective of euthanasia. It is vital that the medical funding is always available for patients who have much more chance to live. Euthanasia should be used when it's necessary.
When it's necessary, saving the government money could become a consideration. I had no idea that drugs for assisted suicide cost about $34 or $45, and obviously it is less expensive than providing medical care. I could be wrong, but we cannot be obsessed with the cost of healthcare and the principle of utility. We are living in an inequality society where poor people and those who are less educated and less empowered will be more vulnerable to abuse or indifference because they cannot pay for the right to live. I reject euthanasia because it allows doctors to have the power to decide when a patient's life should end.
At the point, the doctor don't force terminally ill patients to die. They allow them to make their own decision. According to the famous maxim, do no harm of the Hippocratic Oath, don't artificially keep someone alive when death is preferable. By the way, I could be wrong, but do you know that many people out there sell their houses, their fortune to pay for their family's medical bills? Although they become broke or homeless for all that, they still can keep their families alive. It's not a bad idea that terminally ill patients have the right to choose how and when to die.
The assumption that patients should have a right to die would impose on doctors a duty to kill, thus restricting doctors' autonomy. Also, speaking of a right to die for some people could become a duty to die by others. Even though legislation always leaves an open gap and assisted suicide can open the door to other forms of covert murder, leaving no traces. It's hard, like in the elderly, mentally disabled patient, and even cross the line between voluntary and involuntary euthanasia, or creating incentives for insurance companies to terminate lives in order to save money. Let me show you some news. This is in Canada. Um, Free healthcare will soon means morally acceptable organ harvesting from elderly to living patients. Can you believe that? Oh my God. That's sad. By the way, voluntary euthanasia has been legal in Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and the state of Oregon and Washington in the United States. But according with the Guardian News, in the Netherlands in 1990, around 1,000 patients were killed by this method, but without their request. And more than 744 people have been euthanized in Canada in first 7 months in 2016. How can you demonstrate knowledge about the situation of all of them? I was surprised reading this news.
All these.
The New York Times, I'm not sure, but in The Guardian or New York Times. I was reading both often. But this is in Holland. Dutch doctor asked a patient's family to hold him down and depressed as she carried out euthanasia procedure. I'm surprised.
I have no idea that it could happen. Even it must have been difficult to know. I'm sure that the doctors can forbid the terminally ill patient to end up their life with sickness if they want to. In the Netherlands, every year, roughly 3,000 Dutch people seek to be euthanized. That sounds a lot, but it accounts for only 1.7% of all deaths. When we think about death, most of us imagine passing serenely away surrounded by our loved one. But death is not like that. Death is usually slow, painful, and undignified. And by being against people to end their own lives, we are increasing that pain to a horrifying extent. I agree euthanasia should be used.
That's beside the point. Nobody wants to see a family member suffering intense pain. That must be hard. But we do not have to kill the symptoms. We do not have to kill the patient to kill the symptoms. Death is simply part of life that is full of joy and suffering, and so we want it's not possible to take away the bad and live only with the good. If it were so, no children would be born by natural way. Yet all would be by cesarean delivery. Even so, breastfeeding disappeared because it is a little painful. Not to mention worse, would consist of sleep in peace to the enemies for all eternity without pain. In that ideal world, as an epiphany, euthanasia would be a good practice, but not in real life. Uh, do you know about the Nazi euthanasia?
What is that about?
It was a long time ago. Let me show you. In 1942, more than 300,000 victims of the Holocaust in Germany lost their life. We cannot forget about history mistakes or repeat them. That's the tendency.
When is that fact?
1942 in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember? No, we don't remember because we are younger than that.
I think that happens
But,
seen each other. That's
but
how it is.
it's very famous about Hitler and the Holocaust. That he killed a lot of people, and the worst part, as you can see here, is the doctors' help to kill them. It's unbelievable. It's anti-ethical. I'm against that to repeat the same. We need to learn from our mistakes.
The impact on the terminally ill family can be catastrophic without euthanasia, often because they are unaware of how their loved one was feeling. 10% of suicides in England involved chronically or terminally ill people, they suicide by overdosing, sleeping pills, or even poison. They jump down can you believe it? They jump down from the high building or the bridge, or even suicide by hanging themselves. In some cases, families might have been unaware of the true feelings of their loved one, being forced to confront the issue of their illness, maybe may get better, or persuade their loved one not to end their life. For some terminally ill, life is so painful and it's not worth living. We should give them the choice to be euthanized. The family can understand the reason behind their decision without feelings of guilt. In the end, it's up to them to decide on the action will be taken. And once again, the choice for the patients, therefore, is not to die, but to see the suffering and to choose the time and manner of their death.
After our debate, euthanasia will continue to be extended that will not be solved due to cultural, religions, and conscience. And it's not easy to think about it until illness or death knock on your door. Euthanasia should be used or not is an unsolvable problem.
Yes. Anyway, thank you for watching our debate.